Again. Water. Okay. Hi, my name is Lana. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And on this channel, we review books. Today's book review is The Temple of Fortuna by Elodie Harper. I don't know why I paused. There was not a thought going on behind my eyes in that moment. So this book is the last installment of the Wolf Den trilogy. I'll link below my review. I reviewed the first two books in one video. And if you're curious for more context about the whole story, because what I find interesting about reviewing books that are in a series, I really have to be careful because I'm kind of skirting around certain things so I don't spoil certain plot points and plot elements. So as is typical for me, I'm just going to talk about some things that I noticed, but you may notice that it's slightly more condensed than how I would do a deep dive in just a standalone novel, just because, again, I don't want to spoil anything. Slavery creates a shadow world with its own secrets and loyalties. So The Temple of Fortuna by Elodie Harper, like I said, is the third and final installment of the Wolf Den trilogy, which chronicles our main character, Amara, who is a Greek who has been sold into slavery in the Roman Empire. And that she is sold into prostitution. And so she works relentlessly throughout the span of this trilogy to earn her freedom, to improve her station in life. And in doing so, a complicated web of secrets is created. And even though by the time of the last novel, this one, she is living a life of luxury in Rome and she's living, not serving because she's actually freed at this time. She is I guess you could say the companion, for lack of a better word, to a high-ranking Roman freedman. However, despite this, from the outside looking in, she looks like she's got it all together. She's got it in the bag. But again, she has a lot of secrets. She's got a lot of skeletons in her closet because she's had to do quite a bit, some of it a little bit shady, to get to this station in life. And so her life is not easier. In fact, it's even more complicated, you could argue, because her secrets run deep, and there are those who have knowledge of her secrets and this facade in a way that she's put up. And these secrets are threatened to be exposed by who in this series is the main antagonist. Also, this book takes place in, I want to get the date right, October 79 CE. So Mount Vesuvius is destined to erupt, and the destruction of Pompeii is looming. So, and you know that Pompeii is going to erupt. Sorry, not Pompeii. You know that Mount Vesuvius is going to erupt. Elodie Harper alludes to this in the first volume, the first novel of this series. So you know that it's coming. So a common theme that runs through this trilogy is this delicate balance that is freedom, especially in this time period during the Roman Empire. So Amara does have an elevated position that doesn't necessarily mean that she's more secure. She's constantly trying to figure out how to create a life. What am I trying to say? I don't have it right in front of me. She's constantly trying to pad her freedom, if you will. She's trying to gain more wealth. She's trying to put herself in certain social situations or social circumstances so that she never has to go back to her old life when she was sold into slavery. There are also other people tied to her. The success, if you will, of other people are also tied to her status as a freed woman and the success, if you will, that she's been able to maintain and that she's still reaching for. because it's not just about her anymore. And again, but she always feels like she's on a foundation of sand. And again, the main antagonist has her business. Okay, they know, and so she just knows that she just feels like she's on shifting sand. It's a dangerous balance. Whether it is wiser to keep your enemy close or at a distance, I think this is a means of fighting for time. So by the time the reader gets to this third book, like I said, Amara has earned her status as a freed woman. However, she has still paid the price of being a slave, meaning that there are just scars that she'll always have to deal with. There is almost a paranoia that she still has to grapple with and kind of fight. I think that Harper does a really good job highlighting that one's past experiences shape the individual, and there are just certain things that once you go through them, they become part of your DNA, if you will. Once you walk certain paths in life, or you've been through certain things, even when you come out the other end, you're like, that thing changed me and I'm never going to be the same. And so you just learn how to take learn how to take those scars, take your past, and in a sense, help use them to become a better person, because you have no other option. It's done. Also, because Amara was a slave, she knows what it's like to be a slave. Obviously, that's not a profound statement. But what I mean by that is those of her acquaintances that are either now freedmen or still slaves, they have their own language. She knows how to read past the mask, because when you're a slave, you have to be stoic in certain cases. You can't let other people see your emotions. You're at the will of somebody else. And so you're not free even in your emotions and your facial expression. So she knows how to look past that mask. So Harper's also showcasing how those who have walked similar paths in life, they have a secret language. They understand each other intuitively, and they know how to read between the lines. How about reflecting that the person you call your slave traces his origin back to the same stock as yourself, has the same good sky above him, breathes as you do, lives as you do, dies as you do? This is Elodie Harper quoting Seneca from Letters of a Stoic. So each chapter she quotes an ancient Roman, and so here she is quoting Seneca. It is a shock to return to a state of not mattering, to have people turn their faces to the side, rather than address her as if she were someone of worth. Some burdens are not lightened by sharing. So lastly, again, I'm wrapping this up because, again, there's not too much I can really reveal without giving the whole series away, and I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to throwing a few themes out there to pique your interest should the series, kind of be like, do I want to read this if you're curious? So Harper uses in this book in particular a lot of bird imagery, caged bird imagery to be specific. I have a hair stabbing me in my eye. And again, this is signifying how Amara, even though she is free, she still feels trapped by her circumstances. She's also feels trapped by fear that what it is that she's been trying to keep under wraps for so long is going to be put out in the open. There are certain things that she's terrified if they're ever found out, she's ruined. So yes, lots of caged bird imagery. And that's also a very common symbol that's used specifically regarding women in literature since like 1800s plus, you know what I mean? You see it in Victorian literature. You see it in Jane Eyre. Charlotte Bronte uses this a lot. And it's really specifically highlighting mainly the female protagonist, a female lead of the story, if you will, who's feeling trapped within her circumstances, or she's feeling trapped and suppressed by the limitations that are being forced upon her that she's having a hard time breaking free from. Cages of birds hang from beams and rafters, their shrill chatter spilling onto the street. Some packed tightly into crates at the back are destined for the dinner table, but others are for decorations. Starlings, magpies, and even a pair of nightingales are on display. The expensive songbirds placed at the center of the shop in an ornate cage. Also, this imagery is symbolic of Amara's life when she was a prostitute, sold. She's not doing this of her own. She wasn't doing this of her own free will, where she had to look the part, makeup, clothes, singing for the entertainment of others. Not only that, her body was for the entertainment of others against her will. And so, people had to pay a price for her to come and entertain, or for her to be their mistress. And so again, she's highly relating. She's finding these birds relatable because she understands what it feels like to be trapped and also used for others' viewing and enjoyment. Amara can hear the chatter of starlings in the branches above and catches a glimpse of their dark, speckled bodies. She thinks of the shop magpie in its cage with nothing but a dusty sheet to stare at. So I'm going to wrap this up. Again, one of my shorter reviews, but sometimes it's nice to have a shorter review. You know what I mean? So historical fiction is my favorite genre. If I'm going to pick a genre, I'm going to pick historical fiction. That's just me being a history nerd. And, but historical fiction, my brain is fried. I'm just tired. Historical fiction that takes place during, ancient Rome and the Roman Empire is not the most common. And that's why when the first book in this trilogy was released, I hopped right on it So when I saw that a series was going to be released taking place in ancient Rome, I hopped on that. Ancient Rome and ancient Greece. I mean, gold, right? But also, this was being released at a time when retellings of the ancient Greek myths was really popular, and it's still popular. So for me, this was a play on that, or it's in the same vein, but it's still doing something original. You know what I mean? And so again, I find the Wolf Den trilogy to be unique in this pool of ancient Greek myth retellings. And don't get me wrong, I like a good ancient Greek myth, but this is not a mythological retelling. It's just historical fiction taking place in ancient Rome. Harper's characters are morally gray, especially Amara. She has strong morals and ethics, but because of her situation in life and she's doing what she can to get out of that situation, she makes some questionable decisions. She treats people sometimes in questionable ways, and it's like, my girl, and sometimes you don't like her in some cases, but you understand why she's making the decisions that she's making. Again, Amara is not always palatable, and I like it when an author does that. The Wolf Den trilogy is one of those series that's just a wild ride. I would say it's excellent summer reading. One, because of the setting. It's Rome, and a lot of times during these 3 books, it's hot outside. But also, by summer reading, I mean, a lot of times when people are thinking about summer reads, they want a book where the pages fly quickly, and the pages fly in this trilogy because the drama, like the plot is always moving, but it's not fluffy. You know what I mean? These books are not fluffy. They're not vapid. Harper is discussing a lot of difficult topics in this book, in this trilogy. And so this is not necessarily light reading, but again, I still think that she handles it gracefully while not sugarcoating. Again, because Amara is abused horribly. And so because of, the type of slavery that she was sold into. But I think that Harper handles it very well in a way that's not voyeuristic, but she's going to call a spade. And I appreciate that. Harper is also doing another series, but this is going to take place in what would be considered ancient Britain, in the British tribes. So that I am looking forward to, because again, you don't really see that in historical fiction. So I like that she's kind of diving into time periods that are not already oversaturated in the market. So I feel like I was a bit rambling, but that's okay. I gave this a 4 out of 5. My favorite, I think, out of the series was probably the second one in hindsight. I think so. Which is the house with the golden door. So anyway, I'm going to wrap that up. Have you read the Wolfden trilogy? Have you heard about it? Thoughts and comments below. Also, feel free to like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, where I get up to more book shenanigans. I post all of my book content there first, and I like to post goofy things in the Instagram stories because I can. Okay? Often what I'm posting has absolutely zero to do with books. Zero. Okay. Well, I will see you in the next one. Bye.